Good evening and welcome to the Shadows of New Orleans. Tonight, we are joining a couple of our guru. As they all find themselves in an unusual predicament. And to start off, since I have... I will have everybody start right away with a Wits and Enigmas.
Okay.
To see how much you guys even know.
Standard or what?
What's a standard diff, yes.
Vicky has two. Yay for raising my enigmas this downtime.
Right?
Should probably pull up the dice around.
I guess I could get in the dice roller as well. Did Jones throw or negative? Hey, there it is.
Hey, you
I
got
got
3
impatient,
successes.
sorry.
Why would Jones roll? What?
I'm Tiger Ace Jones. All right. So, well, you may not know exactly where you are, but you all know that the three of you have definitely ended up in the Umbra. How exactly you got here from what you were doing, you're not quite aware either, but you find yourselves in a relatively small clearing. It's somewhat windy, and it's definitely Umbra.
Big Mac just kind of looks around.
Are we all together?
Yes, you all find yourselves in this clearing.
What's the clearing look like exactly?
Light woods, definitely higher elevation.
Okay. Can I do an
Can we
intelligence roll to see if I know where we is?
Yeah, I would allow an intelligence. Could even see intelligence and survival.
Let's see.
Or if you have Umbral lore.
I do. You got the umbrella.
That too.
Do we see any?
I got a success on intelligence umbrella.
Alright. I didn't hear what you were asking, Natalie. I heard did we see, and that's...
Yeah, I was trying not to cut Tiger off. I was asking if we see any spirits actively moving around.
You do not. In fact, it's almost... unusually quiet.
Alright, so I'm assuming we don't hear anything then either.
Negative.
I got one success on my intelligence number one.
Okay. You would know that in the area of New Orleans, there aren't really anything this. There aren't really any areas this high, so it's definitely somewhere out of the ordinary.
Are there any paths or trails leading from this clearing?
You do see one that kind of seems to wind downward. You know, it almost looks like you're on like a hill in a forest.
I'm assuming we're supposed to follow the path.
Would make sense.
I hope you're right.
If not, it's beautiful countryside.
Without a McDonald's in sight.
I'm surprised you haven't learned to bring him with you. And she just pats her bag that she's got over her shoulder.
No. I'll be taking care of that later.
Let's get going.
Let's do it. We'll find out what's down this whole path here.
You know what else would help would be if I had the book open.
Your books are good.
That might
That
help.
one's on me. Especially considering I always tell everybody else, make sure you got your book ready. So y'all can call me on that one.
But I don't have your phone number.
You can call people for Facebook now.
True. I hate using Facebook.
It's fair.
I would love for it to just
It
stop
has
sending me notifications all the time.
it has its uses, but it has definitely exceeded the original
Yeah.
intent.
So when they're walking down this path, is there anything like special or cool on this path?
I will have everybody give me a
Big Mac is curious. Got that flaw.
perception alert.
Probably pull my sheet back up. I don't know why I closed it.
2 successes.
It's a big one. Well, that's the only roll we'll make this scene, right?
I'm gonna assume Uncanny Instincts doesn't go here.
Negative.
That's fine. I have 2 successes.
We got one success. And 40, 10, that's $6.
All right. So everybody had at least one. As you guys walk, you notice in the middle of the trail, what looks like a rat has been, like caught, flayed, that sort of thing.
Oh no. No.
The rat is what? I'm sorry.
Big Mac sees this flayed rat and looks pretty unhappy about it.
Victoria is going to be looking around for signs of the predator that did such a thing. Fur, feathers, broken branches.
Sure. Give me a. Let's go with a perception. Ooh, actually. Yeah, perception and. I could see perception, primal urge on that. Or alertness, either one. Take your pick.
They're both the same, so it doesn't.
Sure, then it doesn't matter unless you have a specialty in one, in which case we'll use that one.
2 successes.
You don't see any obvious signs, but you also notice there's not really like a blood trail or anything.
Okay, it looks like it died here and wasn't dragged around bleeding, so she's gonna keep her eyes out.
Big Mac kind of clenches her fists and kind of snarls as she makes it a point to not look at the flayed rat.
Either of you do that pray worship thing, thanking thing.
Oh.
Drinks doesn't know the rat, but he will offer. Those kind of kneel over the rat and thank the spirit for its service in Guy's will.
All right. As you guys are moving, you do start to hear more sounds of wildlife around you, certainly. It's not quite the same unusual stillness. And around the corner of ahead of you, the path kind of takes a bend, and you can hear what sounds like birds chirping and a crow cawing briefly before it goes silent.
Are they just making animal noises, or are they actually saying things?
Actual animal noises.
Okay.
Crow could have taken out a rat. Does this look like an area that would normally have crows?
You could certainly see it. It's forested and stuff, but there's not any reason it couldn't.
But if they all just went silent almost suddenly, that means there's something going on. So Vicky's definitely keeping her eyes open.
Right. Big Mac looks around, literally, like you see her turning her head to look around.
All right. Well, the forest kind of has gone still again, and you notice the as you round that bend, there is in fact a crow laying in the path, almost like it got knocked there.
She's going to slowly approach it. Does it look like it's still alive?
No.
What's up with all these murdered creatures?
She looks at the two people with her. You're both Bonars, correct?
Nope. Job guy.
Only I am.
We've had a rat. We've had a crow. And then she says rat, she points at Big Mac. And then when she says crow, she points at herself.
So next we'll see a unicorn.
If we see
Or-
a unicorn.
Or something of its brood.
Yeah.
Crow's not Grandfather Thunder himself. Something's taunting us. Anybody piss off a big predator?
Either taunting or trying to get our attention. Or send a message.
Oh.
Around the or up the path, you hear a fairly quiet kind of chirping.
Vicky will carefully and quietly begin approaching. Do you want a stealth?
Big Mac's kind of just looking
Yeah.
for the source of the chirping.
May I activate my what the hell's that thing called? The one that my God, what's the word? I can't. Fetish. That's what it's called.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. She becomes very dark. Very, very dark. Roll is over on this one. And I have 2 successes on the stealth.
All right.
Big Mac is gonna.
Ty goes to 2 successes to notice. I'll let everyone else take their action first.
Yeah, I'm gonna start moving forward. But obviously, I'm not gonna go all black or very dark. I'm assuming you mean like shadows, Natalie. So what, you just want to attack stealth? This could be hilarious.
Are we doing deck stealth?
If you want to sneak up on whatever this is making this noise and perhaps stop another spiritual death.
Well,
I had one success.
I see it has 2 successes, and I only have 2 dice. So I don't think I'm gonna make it.
You might.
I'll try. I don't think it's gonna work. I'll spend a willpower. There we go. I can do this. Is it +1 or +2 if you don't have the skill?
+1.
+1. Alright. Hey, I got 1 success with the willpower.
Hey, we're right on par. I have one success as well.
Fuck yeah. Can I get a spirit lord to see if I know what this thing is?
Sure.
Sick. I'm assuming it'd be intelligent spirit lord. What is my difficulty, John? I'm gonna assume 6, I guess. I got 2 successes on the intelligent spirit lord.
All right. Well, you would recognize the sound of the smaller bird. Because it's actually a spirit that you're familiar with. The quieter chirping is a dove. And as you guys approach closely, you see a falcon holding the dove to the ground with one talon as the dove chirps at it.
Oh, fuck no.
Drinks will walk up to the, or kind of, he'll make it known that to the bird that he's walking up to it before he actually walks up to it, so he doesn't startle it. And he will offer to Gnosis to leave the dove alone.
It blinks at you and then looks up very carefully, lets it almost begrudgingly lifts its talon up to and lets the dove out.
Big Mac is just staring at it.
Looks between the 3 of you and says, "There was a 4th, but I'm not surprised to learn that one of Grandfather Thunder's children doesn't know how to listen to a summons."
Is this in spirit speech, or is it something we can all understand?
Everyone can understand it.
And what have you summoned us here for today?
And the bird looks at you and blinks and says, "It was your suggestion."
No. Though I'm curious as to how you can. You're saying this is my suggestion, so I'll listen.
He almost seems to chuckle a little bit. And he blinks, kind of shakes his head a little bit, and says, "Well, seems to me you suggested I take a more active role in addressing some of the issues. What's more active than
Yeah, your
sponsoring a
kid's
pack?"
issue.
Head tilt.
Yeah, Big Mac just kind of like flashes him a weird look.
And he turns and he says, "And of course, we can't forget those who follow the Stormcrow. Because I believe it was you and your cohort who seem to struggle with ideas such as respect, especially for one who has sacrificed. And as I tried to explain to the young rat here, it would not be honorable to interfere in another spiritual pact, which my wayward child has entered into. But I'm sure, as a daughter of Grandfather Thunder, you can see how it would be perfectly acceptable for me to sponsor a pact that would interfere."
It would.
And since you and your absent friend do seem to like to jab and poke at Silverfangs in their affairs, who would be more appropriate? And then he looks at Drinks and he says, "And you, unfortunately, get the short end of the stick."
Drinks just kind of does a "what are you gonna do" face and shrugs.
And he kind of he raised a wing sort of in the direction of the dove, and he says, "I felt a dove was appropriate. A member of Unicorn's brood, a symbol of peace. Because if I'm to sponsor this pack, I may need a crescent moon who understands patience and peace, and who better than a member of Unicorn's brood? Especially one that is familiar with," and he kind of takes one talon and like gestures in a circle towards Victoria and Big Mac. Familiar with them.
So what is your plan exactly?
What is my plan?
Yeah, like I get you're making us attack. But what is our goal? What is our purpose?
Well, one, to bring respect back to the Garou as a whole of the area. You see, while I recognize my wayward Arun and his sacrifice, I also recognize that his sacrifice, because of how it was done, casts him in a very dishonorable light. It also gave the whole sept a bad name to the other Garou. The sept was lost because of one of mine. Now this sept is being gradually rebuilt. And some wonder if it was a mockery of things like honor and respect that caused the former Alpha to become the gatekeeper. Who wouldn't trust that responsibility to a coward who cost the sept everything. So the sept itself is not looked upon with respect. We have Garou who don't respect one another. The silent strider who struggles with the former Alpha. That was once his beta. He does not fully respect the sacrifice his Alpha made because he doesn't understand it.
With all due respect, he never should have made that deal. That's not his position. That is not his job. Deals with the spirits fall to the Crescent Moons, not the Aruns.
His job was to protect his sept. Did he make a very poor choice in how he went about it? Yes, but he paid the price for that choice himself first and foremost.
And the rest of the sept paid as well.
He
Yes,
blinks
did.
and he looks at you and he says, "You know that not a single kinfolk or Garou died in that storm? That was his agreement." Then he looks over at Drinks and he says, "Perhaps a Theurge might have caught the poor wording of such an agreement. But his agreement was that none of his people would die in the storm. They didn't. The sept was lost. He was lost. But every Garou and every kinfolk that had been on that sept survived and found safe haven elsewhere. Some have even started to return, hearing the news of just how it was they survived such a storm and what their Alpha paid for that."
This is the first I've heard of anybody returning.
Those visitors that have kept him company, that have brought him tokens, they too seek to cheat the spiritual deal he made They hoped to stir some memory of who he once was. That was what was lost to him, who he was, the very core of his being. The fury of the full moon. The honor and glory he had rightfully earned. The names and deeds that he had committed. That is what he traded for the ability to keep his people safe. The very essence of who he was. Again, a poorly worded deal. None deny that. But I suspect that there's more going on with that deal as well. Hence, why it seems prudent to have a pack. A pack that knows the city. A pack that knows how to read between the lines. And a pack that knows how to be discreet. Because this is a spirit that resides in a city.
It might.
It's at least tied to it somehow. Furthermore, he says, furthermore, the spirit that was responsible for the pact is not the one that holds his ancient clave. For his clave was used to bind another totem spirit, a spirit that harvests the souls of those who fall unnaturally, those who are lost at sea or in storms, for example. So wherever that clave resides, he left it there to keep his people safe. For as long as it was there binding that spirit couldn't claim the souls of those who die unnaturally. However, again, in an oversight, he could never go back to retrieve it because that deal had become a deed of his. It became an essence of who he was, a part of that. He was a leader who sacrificed for his people, who made desperate, bold moves for his people. So that action was forgotten, lost to him. Perhaps he planned to only bind that spirit for a day, or for the duration of the storm. But it seems to me this sept, possibly because of its reputation, the lack of respect that it receives, has very few packs. So, perhaps what it needs is a unusual, almost misfit sept, is an unusual pack. And he kind of chuckles almost at himself and he says, you know, what would be more unusual than this group chosen by Falcon?
Say that again.
He looks and he says, and well, I will be the first to admit that this seems unusual, and perhaps some of you will even take it as a spiteful gesture, I assure you. There's far more to it than that.
Big Mac raises an eyebrow.
He looks at her and he says, there's honor to be gained in speaking your piece, in fulfilling your role, and in challenging those who are not fulfilling theirs. There's wisdom in seeking out someone else when unusual events occur, to gathering more information or seeking someone else's intercession. And he turns and he looks at Victoria and he says, there is wisdom in challenging those who seem to be failing, floundering. There's even some
I cannot set people on a path, only show them that they are wrong. If they do not wish to make amends or correct their mistakes, we have laws for that.
And then he turns and looks at Drinks and he says, and there's wisdom to listening as well. To observing, to hearing all sides. To stepping in and interceding only at the appropriate time.
Drinks just kind of nods at that.
He says, so I have gathered here an unusual pack, yes, but a pack that is keeping in both honor and wisdom. When it was believed one of mine had become defunct, one of the proud members of the tribe of kings was sitting idle. It was a daughter of Rat that challenged me. That had the honor and bravery to confront me on why I didn't intercede. It was a daughter and a son of Grandfather Thunder. Who challenged his idleness. Who pushed him maybe not enough to correct the problem, but at least enough that he started doing something. It was the son of Grandfather Thunder who called for another of my tribe. There's a time to be bold and to pursue glory and honor. There's also a time to be wise, pursue honor through wisdom. And as much as it may pain me to admit this, two children of Grandfather Thunder and a daughter of Rat have acted more like Silverfangs in this endeavor than other Silverfangs have.
There might be a slightly displeased look on Vicky's face at that comment.
Further, a crescent son of unicorn has acted more the role of a leader, a true leader, than any of the tribe of kings. By working with those who accomplish things. That is one thing I will, though I will never admit it outside of this trail, a failing of my tribe. They insist on leading loudly and brashly from the front. Too many of them. The hawk does not charge such clearing screaming. The hawk observes and strikes when it's appropriate, using the appropriate tool.
Big Mac,
He lowers his...
Big Mac just looks back and forth between everyone.
I guess we're a pack now then.
We are. She looks at Falcon and she says, "I'm not bringing you rats." And she looks very serious.
He nods his head and he says, "One can respect commitment to one's own tribe and totem. I would not ask such a crass and offensive role."
She gives him 2 thumbs up.
He chuckles and he says, "I think perhaps, however, it's time for one who has not taken a tribe, taken a pack for too long. One of my brood that was long forgotten, perhaps." And he tilts back his head and lets out a piercing shriek. And he chuckles again and looks at Big Mac and he says, "After all, it might be best if you are not dealing directly with me. You seem to have some strong feelings towards me." As he does this, smaller white falcon sweeps in. And it circles twice. Lands, and as it looks at the three of you, and then it turns and looks at Falcon, and it just kind of tilts its head. Looks back. And finally kind of nods its head after considering. And he turns and says, "Rest assured, you will be in a very unusual position. There isn't a Fang in the world that wouldn't wish to be chosen by the Gerfalcon. So I'm sure they will. Those Fangs that realize who your totem is will be forced to respect you for your totem, while also struggling to understand why you were chosen by the Gerfalcon and not them."
Big Mac just kind of eyes up the White Falcon. Curiously.
And Falcon looks at you and he says, "Well, I shan't intrude anymore. This is, after all, a pack gathering. It would be rude of me to interfere in another totem's pack, wouldn't it?" And he turns and nods again and takes off.
Big Mac kind of waves at the White Falcon.
And it looks at each of you. Kind of seems to be assessing each of you individually. And finally it says, And why the three of you?
Because I have a big mouth.
Vicky chuckles a little bit at that.
Unique perspectives, different backgrounds, for a good representation of our set.
We stand up for what we believe in.
This is true.
He kind of looks between the three of you, and you can, kind of considering what you three have said. And he says, Vulcan is not always known for his wisdom, but in this I think he was wiser than he gives himself even credit for. A totem of respect in war. He sees the world as a king and a predator. It's important to see the world from many angles if one is to be a part of it effectively.
Big backyards.
He says, additionally, taking you three and your missing cohort as a pack means those children of Vulcan who encounter you will also be forced to see the world differently, to step back and consider other angles. In choosing you and in calling me, Vulcan has acted with wisdom. He raises one claw and he says, my warning, especially if you are going to be acting as a pack in my name, is that we do not act rashly. In conversation, we listen to all other speakers first. In times of action, we gather information before we rush in. We do not initiate action or dialogue without taking the available opportunities to be informed. That being said, knowledge and understanding are the tools that you will need as well to fulfill this. Those I will assist you as well with. It's important that we understand those we are interacting with, as well as understanding the world we are interacting with them in. He blinks and looks around and he says, I have some understanding of this situation on the Sept. He says, I do understand if we do not wait for the Silent Strider to speak before speaking with him. He gives almost a little chuckle to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks at the rest of you as well, and he says, we must remember as well, however, that gathering information and knowledge, and even part of listening, is asking questions. I open this discussion with my question. I knew why Falcon felt he chose each of you. I wanted to know why each of you felt he chose you. This tells me how you view him, how you view the situation, and how you view yourself. Now, what questions might you three have from me?
Vicky looks to be thinking on how to word her question properly.
And he just kind of looks at you, patiently, but you see him kind of give a little bow, kind of acknowledging.
I have heard that many times packs are sent on quests for and with their pack totem. What sort of requirements of that means do you have for us?
You cut out a little bit there. But they're sent on quests, and then I missed
Yeah,
that.
she was saying that a lot of times packs are sent out on like quests or something as part of gaining their totem. What sort of quest does he have for them, if any?
He looks and he says, I think the tasks that were set to you by Falcon are more than substantial enough at this time. the answers I were given by each of you tells me what I need to know. I also trust Falcon to have considered his actions. I do not feel that there is a need for a spirit quest or jaunt into the Umbra. I do not feel it keeping in wisdom to waste one's time simply because tradition dictates that's how things are done. Part of wisdom is also seeing when there's a better way.
Then perhaps if we have no more questions for you and you none for us, we should return so that we may begin our duties.
He says, that seems reasonable as well. There's wisdom in not wasting time once all pertinent information's been gathered.
Mhm.
She looks between her pack mates.
Yep.
This is a lot to take in all at once, so
Yeah, I was not expecting the day to take this twist. Trying to keep things interesting though, right?
Yeah, chuckles and says, no, don't let them ever tell you the silver fangs and their totem don't have a sense of humor. And he looks up, and as he takes off, Falcon circles once more and sweeps down. And he says, just on this trail will get you where you need to go.
Vicky will give a nod and start heading towards the trail.
Yep.
Anyone have Umbra lore?
hell
Yes.
yeah, I do.
Who, alright, you guys can give me a wits plus Umbra lore.
Senator?
Standard, yes.
I got 2 successes.
Pod 0.
You guys realize that this particular section of the Umbra doesn't seem like just typical you step sideways section. For those of you who had successes.
Good job, Drinks.
That is like a little starting off here. I asked John could repeat what he said because it cut off a little bit for me.
Oh, sorry. I kind of missed what you had said.
Yes, sir.
You realize that this isn't just like the near Umbra as if you had stepped sideways.
It's just kind of. He looks at the trail, looks around, and goes, "Huh, that makes more sense." Okay. Yeah, I don't think we're in the near Umbra, guys. I don't know if you guys figured that out or not.
Nope.
Bye.
My best guess was we're not in the near New Orleans Umbra.
Right.
Mm.
So you guys approach the end of the trail. You see what looks like a almost a small and like a piece of mountain, large stone sticking out of the dirt in a clearing, and there's kind of a pass in between. In fact, if you weren't in the middle of a forest, you would call it a mountain pass or possibly a ravine or crevice, but
So is this like a portal back or something?
you guys can roll me a spirit lore or umbra lore if you have either one. If not, occult or enigmas.
Oh, I have those.
And occult or enigmas would be diff 7.
Is it intelligence?
And that's intelligence? Or wits?
Yes, intelligence.
Or... 3 successes on the spirit lore.
All right.
1 on occult and enigmas.
4 successes on an Umbra lore.
All right. So all 3 of you would know that there are things such as spirit gates, portals between used for umbral travel, often guarded by loons or other spirits. And that gnosis, your spiritual essence, can be used to activate one.
It's a little off for Rhinoceros too. So it seems like this is the only way out.
Big Mac just goes through. Without a word, she just steps into it.
All right. So as all you guys go through, it's definitely a different sensation. And it's kind of different for each of you as well. In fact, for drinks, this is almost euphoria of, it's like a really like the perfect buzz.
Gotcha.
In Big Mac's case, this is the she's warm and full, like she just had her perfect meal. She's in a relatively peaceful place, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And the in Victoria's case, it's a lot simpler actually, because it's the first time she's felt at peace in a long time. She doesn't feel any of those urges, any of those pulls. It's just she feels like herself. And as you guys exit the other side, you are definitely back in the back in New Orleans. In fact, you are within the city.
Oh.
There's you can see the city lights through some trees. You're in what appears to be a park, and behind you is a large rock sculpture, very similar to or rock structure, very similar to what you'd seen on the other side.
All right, mark this down on my map.
All right, I'm going to remember this place. Is there anything anywhere that says what park this is?
There is. It's part of City Park.
Okay.
And as you guys exit, you'll see a sign, and you do find some footpaths that label it as Couturier Forest. Couturie. If you're writing it down. But as you guys start to head out, you notice that the right around this stone, there's it's hard to spot at first because it's literally footpaths worn in dirt, so it's just differences in dirt. But it does have a Guru glyph.
What's the guru glyph?
Let's see. I was gonna find an image. But that doesn't want to cooperate. Why would it? Oh, it is a excuse me. The glyph appears to be for the homelands, and in this case, it looks like for the Silver Fangs.
I wonder how many of them have actually been there.
I feel like telling them that we have would not go over well.
All right, I guess we should be heading back to Sep then.
Yeah, I think we have a lot to figure out.
Oh, Jackie boy, are you in for a treat?
Surprise!
Well,
I know if I tell him, he's not going to buy it.
I'll tell him. Don't
And so-
worry. It'll be great. He's gonna love it. Yeah, Falcon has summoned us. We went up there and he said that we are going to be a pack under his umbrella. Except we're not just under his umbrella, we're under his little super special umbrella over here in the corner. It's like rare and yeah. Oh, by the way, he killed off some rats and storm crows and to get our attention.
Dove. Well, oh no, that's right. The dove that was saved. Good job, Drinks. She pats him on the back.
he just gives a double thumbs up.
We need drinks. Definitely, we need drinks when we get back.
First round's on me.
Drinks. Big Mac.
You know what? Let's find a spot. We'll get out, grab drinks, Big Macs, head back to Sept.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That sounds great. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited do you think Jackie Boy is going to be?
He's either going to be up around a 12 or somewhere in the 1 to 2 range.
Possibly -7. I'm feeling like -7.
-7 is definitely a possibility.
It is definitely a possibility. But I guess he'll just have to deal, right? Maybe we'll butter him up with some nachos or something. He likes nachos.
Seems he liked cake or something the other day. When he came back, he still had cake in his hair, like frosting or something.
Yeah, that
Didn't want to
was
talk
my-
about what he was doing.
We won't give him cake. It'll probably just make him
Perhaps
more
we should get him a
angry.
little bird cake. See if they can get one in the shape of a falcon.
That would be a really good way to break it to him.
We'll just have them write one of us on it. That'll be perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Oh god.
Definitely.
Just be ready to grab him because I don't want him frenzying all over us.
Well, I mean, I'll do my best to keep him in check.
Yeah.
And I
I got
think
some Mardi
that-
Gras beads left from the party. I think I can subdue him with those.
good.
She kind of makes a choking motion.
As long as he doesn't die.
I'm not that tough.
And I think about there, we can probably just end it because they'll go and do that stuff and head on back.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Back bonding booze and burgers.
All right. This has been another Shadows of New Orleans, a werewolf scene. Thank you, players, for playing, and watchers for watching.